I want to thank all of you for coming here today for yet another really substantive discussion about the importance of water infrastructure. And part of what I think the part of the equation that people don't frequently understand. One of the many, many resources that we have in the city of Syracuse is an abundance of clean, fresh water. And as our globe and our country are experiencing drought, that's one of the issues that we don't ever worry about here because we have such an abundance of fantastic water. And I have said many times and will continue to say that water is going to be the oil of the 21st century. It is another reason why we have to make the necessary investments in water infrastructure. We have lots of clean, fresh water, and soon enough it'll be falling from the skies for all of us. But it is also an asset for economic development. Industries that use a lot of water have been here, are relocating here. Small businesses that use a lot of water are coming here and growing and flourishing here. But they can only do that if we as a society make the necessary investments in water infrastructure. I thought today would be a fantastic day, along with the One Water Alliance and the American Water Works Association, to highlight the fact that if we don't have predictable water because of infrastructure malfunctions, then we can't have coffee. And a day without coffee is an unspeakable tragedy. And particularly for those of us in the central New York region who fire up our day with Café Kubal, in the many places that Café Kubal is located in. So today, because of the generosity and the kindred spirit of Café Kubal, everyone who buys a cup of coffee today will receive in their cup the sticker that says, no water, no coffee. And then it will say to them, can you imagine a day without water? Learn more about water infrastructure at syrgov.net. And there's a code here that if you scan it, will take you to a site that talks to you about all the work that we have been doing, all the work that we're going to continue to do, all the innovative cutting-edge technology and data usage that we have done. So the idea is to bring to people's attention the full spectrum of the importance of water. When you grab that cup of coffee, understand that the water that made that cup of coffee comes through the ground, through an infrastructure system, and also that through around here in downtown that we have water meters and sensors that are being installed to predict where there are going to be breakages, that we're also looking at where we're making our investments to be smarter, efficient, and effective, and that we're calling on our partners in state and federal government to understand and to put their resources towards this incredibly important asset that we have, water infrastructure. So I want to take this opportunity to thank Matt from Café Kubal for working with us in partnership, not just for this day, but all along, working with us through some of the challenges that he has had with our water infrastructure, which he will talk about, and for powering the city of Syracuse in general and the mayor's office in particular with Café Kubal coffee, which is what we serve in our office. So with that, let me introduce a small business man, somebody that we're very proud of, who is giving us a great resource and a great asset and just a tremendous community partner to talk about the importance of water infrastructure. So, gentlemen, Matt Godard from Café Kubal.
Thank you.
Right here. Come on up.
Thank you.
You can move that out of the way, step on it, whatever is your pleasure.
Thank you very much. People ask me a lot of times, Matt, how do you have so many locations? And I just say, well, one at a time, you know. And I think that our approach here on diagnosing and determining the most needed improvements and wisest immediate investments in our current infrastructure is a commendable effort by City Hall. So thank you. And I'd also like to say that, you know, I have experienced some difficulty personally through our business that we have gone days without water, and I know what it feels like. It's not imagined for me. Sometimes it's an actuality, and without the right foundation, it's very difficult for businesses like mine to rely on an erratic infrastructure. So my hat goes off to City Hall for the tremendous effort and the diligent work that they have done. So thank you.
Thank you. So we'd be happy to open it up to any questions that any of you have.
Mayor, you mentioned some of the efforts that have been done in the city of Syracuse. What is the state of the infrastructure right now? Like, this has been something that you've been talking about for a long time. Where are we at right now?
It's getting better every day. Still significant challenges, but we have a tremendous group of very talented people using the best technology and looking at innovative ways for us to predict water main breaks, for us to fix water main breaks, for us to do preventive maintenance. You'll be hearing a lot more about that in the very near future. You've heard about it in my State of the City this year. We talked about water sensors going on downtown, talked about all of the different technology that we've used to talk about the state of repair of our roads, but we have been doing a lot of work to make sure that the finite dollars that we spend efficiently and effectively so that people in the city of Syracuse, and some indeed even outside the city of Syracuse, both residents and business people can have a predictable, clean source of an incredibly important resource to human life, and that's water. It's very millennial of you, John, to look at it online. So again, it is something I think that many of us take for granted. Although right about now, as summer is ending and fall is beginning, there are a number of people who are realizing what a beautiful asset Skaneateles Lake is. And it's a beautiful asset not just for recreation, but it's a beautiful asset because of what it provides to us. An unfiltered, clean source of water. It is a gravity-fed system, one of only 2 in New York State, and we do not have to have a filtration plant where we treat our water like most other places in the United States. As a consequence, we are constantly testing, constantly updating, constantly working in partnership with the people around the lake, with the farmers, to really holistically keep that source of water clean. And I think that that's the way our country is moving, looking at our assets and our resources and becoming environmentalists to realize that we have to have sustainable practices. But it is a testament to the intellectual rigor and the manual labor that our forefathers did hundreds of years ago, about, depending on how you count, about 120 years ago. And I have challenged all of us in the city of Syracuse to use that as a way to remember that we are not the only civilization or the only government in Syracuse that has been challenged by how do we get water and how do we do clean water. And I want to make sure that we meet those efforts that they did 150 years ago, that in many cases are still working and delivering water here to the city of Syracuse. So it's a role model, it's something to be proud of, and it's something that makes us unique. And as I said, in the 21st century, water is going to be the oil of the world, and we have lots of it. So let's make sure we capitalize on that in a responsible way for both the people who live here and the people who work here.
Is that pipeline in good shape?
It could be in better shape. It's working, and it's part of our overall system. So it is in good shape. The answer is yes, but does it need maintenance and preventative maintenance? Absolutely.
As far as having a filtration waiver, how unique is that to the city of Syracuse? And residents are getting and businesses are using fresh, clean water.
Absolutely. Look, all you have to do is look to our west and see what happened in Flint, Michigan. And understand that what was unthinkable, to have lead in the water and to have a whole city poisoned, is actually now, because of a number of factors, has become thinkable and has actually impacting people's lives. And we're seeing across the country people now become conscious of water quality, whether it's Flint, Michigan or Hoosick Falls. Our filtration plant waiver is fairly unique. And what it has, because we have that waiver, what we have had to do is to stay on the quality of our water constantly, to make sure that we meet very high regulatory standards to keep that in place. So I think we are the beneficiaries of doing that, but it's also has allowed us to understand the importance of working together with the people who are around the lake, who work around the lake, particularly farmers who use chemicals to treat their land and to make sure that the runoff does not poison our well, if you will.
Will there also be a message to the residents to value the water, to conserve it, and not make sure that they have any faucets or what have you, that they can take care of that, to really spare water and appreciate it at the level of development?
Well, obviously, we have done that through conservation and other campaigns. We do it kind of the old-fashioned way in the city of Syracuse, that we charge people. And so if they have a leaky faucet, they have a leaky toilet, they will get their monthly bill and they'll say, why did it jump so much? And it's the first thing we say to everybody. Check to make sure that you don't have a leaky toilet, a leaky faucet, and that will help conserve water. But conservation makes sense for all of us because there's just a limited number of natural resources that we have.
In the online statistics, it was also talking about water withdrawal from the cafeteria, and it showed almost withdrawal in the city of Syracuse from state outlets. Like, was Lake Ontario just kind of thrown in there in the mix? How much does the city?
That's my understanding, John, is Lake Ontario is what we call a redundancy. So if anything ever happened with Skinny Atlas Lake where we would not be able to use Skinny Atlas Lake, or the water dropped to such a low level, then we would be able to buy water from Ontario. That has not happened to my knowledge in recent history, but it's always important to have that redundancy.
So it was probably just put in there as wireless and not as
Correct. Yeah, correct.
It's so much lower.
Yep.
There, you mentioned that we take this for granted. You have water in your internal closet, good, clean, fresh water, and the district campaign kind of an education. What are the benefits of the residents of Syracuse and Alabama County? What are the benefits of them being more educated about water in our community?
Well, because they will then go to the people that ask for their vote and say, water is important. They will understand that water is a foundation of our being healthy for their children, for themselves. They wash with it, they cook with it, they drink it. We all do. It's very important. But it also is a foundation of economic development and small business here and emerging industries, whether that is coffee roasters or distilleries or laundries, commercial laundries. And that as the rest of the country starts to really starts to deal with the impacts of drought, they're going to be looking to other places that have predictable, clean water so that they can have their industries locate here, whether that's a brewery or whether that's a commercial laundry. So it's really, the purpose of this campaign is to remind people that the water as a resource, it's a resource for your own personal health, for your family's health, but it's also an economic development resource. And that infrastructure that lies under the road that you may not see is important to fueling all of our development.
It was also mentioned the woodland and Westcott reservoirs, also as well.
Well, we've made a multi-million-dollar investment in the Westcott Reservoir, and you can see what we have done up there. We've made a $1 million investment in UV treatment of our water system so that we can, again, make sure that we don't have to treat it with very harsh chemicals or in a filtration plant.
Sure. Yes. Yes. Well, we're definitely relying on good water quality for good coffee. If the water tastes bad, the coffee will taste bad. So we have filtration systems, which are just standard practices in all of our shops. But the supply of good, clean water is, of course, extremely important.
And would you attribute your success, obviously,
I think, not to be overly frank, but just business acumen in general and knowing where your resources come from is part of that. And so without infrastructure, it's difficult to do business consistently, for sure. So does that answer your question? We had our 1-year anniversary in March, so about 18 months so far. We have 5 of our own open, and we have 32 wholesale clients that we roast for. Actually, no. We have one at upstate Golisano that's more recent than that, and we're looking by the end of the year to be open at the Marriott Syracuse. So.
Great. All right, well, there's been enough talk about coffee. It's time to have some. So we're going to go and get some coffee, which is like the best photo op that I've ever had, that I'm actually going to get coffee. Thank you all very much.
Medium skim latte.
Oh, you know that.